Cricket et al. It's a website. It's a podcast.
Pete, it's a way of life. It's Gideon Haig over here.
Peter Lawler over here.
And welcome to Cricket et al., your independent cricket podcast covering the second day of the Kingston Test match, which has been another three-part disharmony. First session 257, second session 7 for 70, third session 6 for 99, which is Australia's second innings score. They lead by 181 at stumps, and it's getting more and more chaotic. Pete, you knowing how much you love day-night Test cricket, you must be relishing what you're watching at the moment.
Did I hear you say before you came on air that this was fun?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I tell you what, covering it's no fun. It's just a crapshoot. We all know, how difficult it gets under lights. And hey, it's difficult, isn't it, to measure like against like and to know how much it's good bowling and how much it's terrible batting. But what I see before my eyes, the evidence before my eyes is that this is just, it doesn't sit well with me that a game can change so markedly at such a point in the game. And it can be such a random thing because it's very difficult for teams to dictate, where they're going to be in the game when that change happens.
Well, and it sort of depends, doesn't it? It sort of depends on who faces the most overs in the most difficult batting conditions of the game.
And I reckon at times it looked downright dangerous out there. Smith complained last night that he sometimes struggles to even see the ball under the lights, the pink ball, generally. And there was at least one there today that just whizzed past his head that I don't reckon he saw. And I reckon that first one that got Alex Carey, the first time he saw that was when it clanged into his hat. Yeah. But that aside, probably because I'm a bit tired and grumpy at the end of this series, and the last thing you need, is when you're trying to write your copy is for everything to happen in the last 2 hours. And if anyone is reading my copy, can I just apologise because Sam Konstas wasn't bowled. He was very firmly caught by bloody Roston Chase in the gully. But anyway, it had the same effect. He was out for a duck. He just got there. He didn't quite get there the way I've reported. So I apologise for that. I'm blaming the lights and the pink ball. Yeah. And the pitch.
Look, I mean, I haven't minded it so much because I'm just watching, not writing, and it's in a great time zone for watching here. You get up at 4:30 and you've got a full day's play ahead of you, and it just gets better and better. Yeah. But you're right. It's introduced to the conditions a volatility that I imagine is a little bit like in the old days when you had uncovered wickets.
It's exactly what I've written in my piece today. Exactly.
Is it right?
What I've written. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yep. So, and maybe teams have to start doing things like they used to do in uncovered wickets, which is batting for time, reversing orders, sending out blokes to. Did you right? Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a thing. It is a thing.
I think it's an absolute thing. Yeah. If I was the West Indies last night, I might have reversed the order. To be honest with you. Yeah.
Or you might even have declared tonight if you were Pat Cummins with half an hour to go and could have had the West Indies 3 down at the close.
Yeah. So,
I mean, it was interesting. We had the same volatility of conditions in the World Test Championship final, which wasn't a day-night game, and there were periods where it was just noticeably more difficult to bat than not. And Australia actually did have the misfortune to start the third innings of the game in the toughest conditions of the game, and that probably did bear on the final outcome. Maybe we're just used to the game unfolding in a very Australian fashion, which is best period to bat is when the bowlers are tired in the third session. It's a little bit more predictable. I don't mind things being more up and down. I find nothing more boring than flat wicket Test cricket where everything unfolds almost as though it's foreordained. There was something very exciting about watching Australia go in to bat tonight, knowing that the conditions were going to be challenging, knowing that the batters had to come up with different solutions. As it is, we've ended up with, I think the average score now for at the fall of the third wicket for Australia, ex-Gaul, which is I'm doing, ex-Gaul, is 53 this year. We've got Khawaja's averaging less than 20 this series. Konstas is averaging less than 10. But let's not overlook the challenges for the West Indies bowlers. Their average first innings in this series has been 51 overs. Their batters are giving them absolutely no time to recover, and they have thrown themselves into the fray tonight. They've been magnificent. That was great fast bowling to watch. You cannot dispute that.
They bowl very well, and they're probably the strongest suit. To go back to your points about varying conditions, even as I wrote it, I argued with myself about things like that. I mean, I've watched cricket in South Africa, like in Durban, where it can change in a moment.
Yeah.
The conditions can change. The green mamba, something happens.
Yep.
I've seen it happen just with a cloud cover in England and South Africa, where teams, just have the misfortune to be caught under the cloud or the good fortune to be batting when the sun's out. They are all elements that we've come to accept in Test match cricket, and that sometimes the ball swings and sometimes the ball doesn't swing, and whether it's down to the conditions or the ball or the grass or, the length of somebody's thumbnail. But it just, maybe it's the colour of the ball. It just feels confected. It feels like one of those reality, game shows where they throw in a curveball just to trip everybody up, okay, we get into the last lap, and guess what? You're going to run it on broken glass, But all of that said, a 5-day, miserable draw where, 23 wickets fall. I'm going to take the pink ball every time. And look, when it's a ragging pitch in the subcontinent, and similar thing, but although that happens consistently, doesn't it? Everyone faces the same conditions. I enjoy that. I just don't like the way you can get caught with your pants down, and I don't like that sort of, we're going to have to confect and, invert the order or declare, or I even reckon the Australians batted there last night. As soon as Smith and Green were gone on the first day, the Australians just said, let's just get out of here. It essentially was a declaration. I mean, Paddy Cummins hit 3 sixes, didn't he? And he's 24.
Did
he wasn't there for a long time.
The West Indies were doing that this afternoon, that they were kind of hastening to, they did lose 7 for 70 after lunch, and they looked like a team in a hurry. They know that their best chance is maximising Australia's time under lights in this game. Is there any issue about the lights, Pete? You're a better judge of this because you're actually there. This is the first time they've used the lights in this game. Are they adequate? Is there a reason why players are not picking the ball up?
Well, Smith seemed to indicate last night that perhaps they aren't adequate. Unfortunately, you can't tell from the press box. I went down and watched the first session from outside, but from the press box, it's a pretty distorted view that we've got up here. I'll go out if I can get a chance tomorrow. No, I won't get to lights tomorrow, will it? But they do look dim in some corners. But I don't. I don't know. I'll tell you one thing I noted, that when Australia did bowl the West Indies out just before the night session, there was no celebration. They all 11 just sort of stood in their positions and then turned around and started to wander off. Perhaps getting Australia in for the night session might excuse a few of the shots that were played. I reckon how do you say his name? Is it Michael Lewis? Michael Lewis?
Yeah.
I'm not hearing the comment.
Yeah,
Louis, I would put that in my top 100 worst shots I've ever seen. That attempt to hit Buddy Hazelwood over mid-off.
It was up there with Paddy Cummins' slog in the second innings at Delhi a couple of years ago, as we reminded him on the pod.
Except Cummins doesn't bat in the top six. And he was looking all right up to that point, but bloody hell, that was a strange.
It was a strange, complete change of gears, wasn't it? And it's very difficult to go from blocking to slogging, which is what he seemed to do. But look, let's not complain. I reckon that was an exhilarating final session. Shamar Joseph's gone to 20 wickets in the series, and Alzari Joseph bowled seriously quick tonight, didn't he? For a guy who was in the arms of the medicos yesterday, and who's bowled at 135 this series, all of a sudden he's up in the high 140s. I don't know what maybe the challenge of Shamar in the attack was good for him, because he really asserted his primacy tonight as the quickest bowler in the West Indian lineup.
Smith said last night, they were doing a lot of data mining these last couple of days, that the ball, the pace of the ball off after it bounced under lights is 10 kilometres an hour faster than not under lights.
Interesting. Right.
So that might explain why Alzari looked so much swifter. There were some positives. There's some pretty, Sam Konstas, rest in peace. I'm sorry, that duck, even if he wasn't bowled, as reported by me.
Well, he was morally bowled. Once again, he's moved his guard. Coming in, he's batting on middle now. He started the series on leg. In the first innings, he was batting on off. I reckon he's now got confused about where his off stump is. There was no need to play that delivery. He was neither attacking nor defending. That's a ball to leave. That's just a guy who's anxious to get bat on ball. And that was fifth stump. So that's a regulation leave for an opening bat.
Yep,
it's a guy who's chasing the game.
50 runs from 6 innings just ain't going to cut it. I would say even if he makes a lot of runs in first-class cricket, there'll be a real hesitancy to put him back at this level.
You would have noticed that they've announced the domestic season today, Cricket Australia, and there are 4 complete rounds of Sheffield Shield before the first test. And then there's a round of day-night Sheffield Shield before the Brisbane test. So we'll get a lot of first-class cricket. We'll get a big sample size to judge domestic players on.
Yeah, we will.
Another player who's got to succeed is Usman Khawaja. What did you make of him tonight? Actually, fun enough, I actually thought that he looked okay tonight. I thought, he's actually moving well. He's been quite positive. He's making good movements. He drove a couple, played a good pull shot. That's the best pull shot he's played this season. And then, as often happens when you're trying to be that little bit more proactive, you go for a ball that you would otherwise leave and you play on.
Well, look, I think that Khawaja's there no matter what we say about him. I reckon he's opening. I think that there's no way he's not opening. I just don't think that the Australian selectors are up for having two openers. Yep. And I think the veteran gets a hell of a lot more rope than anybody else. I mean, he scored twice as many runs as Konstas, which ain't that many because Konstas has scored 50. But, and I think you saw, when I woke, and I've addressed this in my piece today, I watched that first session this morning and coming in towards the lunch session, Australia had got 1 wicket. And I thought, you know what? Maybe I have really got this wrong. It's difficult on these tours. It's difficult to actually try and get some sort of measure of what's going on here. Is the batting that bad? Is the bowling that good? They are 2 teams that aren't sort of well matched in some ways. But I thought that 92 balls that he faced the day before and the innings by Green and Smith were incredibly valuable. But as I watched the first session play out this morning and 1 wicket fall, I thought, oh, geez, I'm looking like a dick. And the negatives, Nellies, are quite right. That's just another top order collapse by Australia. But in the context of this game thus far, I think I was correct in what I said, that those 2 40s by Green and Smith were the difference in those innings, weren't they? That's the 80 runs difference. And 80 runs is a hell of a lot in a game like this.
And actually, Australia were lucky, I thought, to get that first wicket. I hate those LBs that where they're basically the upholding of a poor decision, the umpire's call. And that should.
But mate, if his pad wasn't there, he would have been bowled. Isn't that what an LB is?
I don't know. I reckon it would barely have touched those bails, and that's what the predictive technology told us. And I don't think an umpire has any business in giving decisions like that. And later in the day, Webster's given not out to the LB from Seals. It's virtually identical, but because Menon's given it not out, then 2 basically identical deliveries lead to 2 completely different outcomes. But That's me.
Do you want to have a debate about the DRS, Gideon? Because I don't. Real positive from this game is Green.
He's really good.
He looks
really
great
good
out there tonight.
Yep.
What did it look like on the TV? Because I was typing.
No, he looked good.
I was typing up a storm at that point, but trying to keep an eye on him. Yeah.
Inevitably, he's had a bit of luck. There was that edge, wasn't there? That fell just short. Maybe Greaves could have gone to his left. Maybe he's not confident to his left. Short. It slipped. He nailed one pull shot. And I reckon that's kind of when he's playing that shot well, he feels that's him feeling confident. He's hard to bowl a short ball to because he's so tall. That ball's just above waist height. It's kind of sternum height for another player. The one thing
you say that though, I reckon like sometimes the big guys are vulnerable to the short ball because it's harder for them to get out of the way. So that you're right about the one that doesn't get up. But if you can get it up at them, they've got a bit of frame to get out of the picture.
Yeah. Look, the one thing I did think maybe his running was a bit sketchy tonight. There were 3 or 4 occasions. He kind of sets off, doesn't he, and invites his partner to send him back. But actually, that was him trying to get off strike, which I thought was a good initiative. That's a sign of proactivity. You want to face as fewer balls as you possibly can. In conditions like that, and he showed that game awareness. So you're right. He's kind of grown into that role over the course of summer, over the course of this series. The question is, does he retain it when he's bowling? And as you've been observing, he's been going out and he's building his bowling loads. Is it possible to bowl 10 or 15 overs innings and bat 3? That's a big
you could say that.
Whose
I don't see it as an issue. Yeah.
You don't see it as an issue? You see him playing entirely as a specialist batter?
Oh, and why can't a specialist batter send down 4 or 5 overs?
It depends on how many overs there are.
Well, you've got Bo Webster in the side, remember?
Yeah.
Well, and you've got Travis Head in the side. And hey, you might have your mate Marnus back opening or something like that. So,
at the moment,
let's remember he's the second all-rounder now. And he could play as a secondary all-rounder if he's number 3. He's not an all-rounder, is he? He's just a batsman who bowls a bit. And I reckon I used to love cricket when batsmen got a bowl. When everyone could sort of roll the arm over in one manner or another,
Be interesting for Green because I reckon he likes bowling. I reckon he's one of those players who, even though he's good enough to play as a specialist batter, likes the fact that his bowling takes a little bit of pressure off his batting in the way that Gilchrist always used to say that his keeping took pressure off his batting.
Yeah, because he wasn't a batter. He was a keeper.
At this stage of his career. Maybe I'm overthinking that, but I think he likes to be able. He likes his involvement in the game. He likes fielding in the cordon. He likes being able to take a really good catch. So I think everything's linked together with Green's game, but that may be changing.
Yeah, well, I don't know, mate. I reckon it's pretty. I think. What's it going to hurt to bowl 5 overs just because you're batting at 3? It's not like you're going to come off cooked, is it?
No, maybe not. It will depend on how much bowling he does during the course of a series.
Yeah, he'll do that much. He never really has done that much, has he? Because they tried to ease him in and not break him.
They haven't had to. They've had a shit hot attack, haven't they? The question is, will he bowl more if we have a 5-test series and you want to keep picking your number one strikers?
That's a good point. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a 5-test series coming up, I think.
I think there is.
I've heard about that one. Yeah, I didn't realise that there's an A series against India away before the summer.
Yeah, right.
I thought it was at home.
I wonder who will get picked for that. There's a few blokes with a few things to prove.
Subcontinental specialists.
Yeah.
Who are they? Yeah.
Marnus might go. Big opportunity. I like the fact that he was wearing his whites in the pavilion tonight rather than wearing his training gear. Well, sitting very close to the coaches.
When Alex Carey got banged on the hat, first delivery, Marnus was the first one out there saying, just give me your pads and your bat. I can do it. I reckon he thought he was in there. I'm assuming that he is the concussion sub.
I guess he is. He's got some form.
Would they bring in Inglis, actually? Would Inglis would be a like for like with Carey, wouldn't he?
Marnus would only be a like for like with Smith, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Anyway, what do we make of the Australia in the field? They did the job, didn't they? Pace bowling was good. Boland was good.
Great run out by Sam Konstas.
Great run out. Brilliant run out.
Really good run out. Yeah.
And a complete waste of a very nice cover drive from Greaves. Picked the right end to throw to. Boland good at the stumps. Greaves made it easy. He ran 24 yards. He ran the second so slowly. He didn't dive. That's just poor cricket. And there are a lot of one percenters in the West Indies game that where they show their deficiencies as a team, don't they?
Yeah. We got another ugly send off today. Well, it was another. All send offs are ugly, aren't they? It's like one of those cliches.
That's a tautology.
You had to. I thought there was something in the way Shamar celebrated getting Konstas's wicket, and the Getty photographer has captured it. It's a middle finger up back at the batsman as he's walking off. So I reckon there'll be a few of them having a chat to the match referee because we saw the Seals send off to Mitchell Starc last night, and apparently we'd missed an earlier one to Steve Smith. Apparently he's very lippy, and the visitors aren't very happy with him. And if he does get to spend a bit more time in the middle, I think he's going to get a hell of a lot of short bowling.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, in these second innings, but I don't reckon he'll be around for a long time. He is batting at sort of 11, only because you can't bat at 12 or 13.
So Australia. All right. Let's talk about Australia's batting. We've talked about the openers.
Yeah,
Smith.
we've talked about Green. Smith.
So we think Smith can't see it. That's a worry.
Well, that's what he said before. It's hard to see. Yeah. It's hellish difficult. And basically said, I threw the kitchen sink at that one that got me out in the first inning. He says, basically, because you're like a sitting duck out there, he said.
Yeah, right.
I reckon there's a degree, I think I wrote this and I threw it out in the end, but I reckon there's a degree of, it's a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. I don't know if I left this in my copy. I reckon the Australians have come here, they've looked at these pink balls, they're brand new, they've gone out, they can't get bat on ball. You know, Marnus is taking wickets in their first session with it. They've looked at the data. The data's terrifying. Usman Khawaja is the only player in the 11 who has played against a Duke's pink ball, and that was in a game for, is he with, I forget. Anyway, it lasted a day and a half. He's for Morgan, was it? Is that who he played for? I forget now. Were bowled out twice for 80, I think.
Right.
So they've got all this, they have got themselves into a lather about the pink ball before this has even started. I mean, they've thrown Nathan Lyon overboard because of it. I mean, that's a massive call. That shows that you're expecting extraordinary things. And I felt in a way that they batted like they were expecting extraordinary things.
Yeah, right.
Like this was going to be difficult. But that's not to say that it isn't difficult. But you know, they had pink elephants in their head before they walked in the room, Gideon, and they couldn't get them out.
I mean, interestingly, Cameron Green didn't. Actually, Cameron Green played very sensibly. He didn't take any undue risks apart from his occasionally sketchy running.
Yeah, that's right.
He wasn't charging down the wicket. He hadn't really adjusted his method. Sometimes I think they're starting to channel Steve Smith a bit. They're all starting to think, I've got to problem solve. And actually, batting there's too much on their minds. Batting is a simple thing. You keep the good balls out and you hit the bad ones for 4.
Says the guy who's been trying to perfect batting for 50 years.
He was trying to do it yesterday in the nets.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, you got the hang of it yet, mate?
Yeah.
But go on, batting's simple.
Because I overcomplicate it, I'm well placed to diagnose the problem of overcomplicating a simple activity.
Excellent. I think you're right. But I suspect Cameron Green might have missed that meeting or had his headphones on and was listening to something else when they talked about how dangerous the pink ball was. But it's probably well advised, actually, to skip all of those meetings. Yeah.
So it's been a fascinating evening. Anything to say on any particular of the dismissals?
Oh, let me just go back and have a look at them. No,
Carey coming down the wicket. Carey might have been a bit punch drunk, mightn't he? That hit him hard.
He might have been.
That really hit him hard. Yeah,
it did. I reckon. Yeah, that dinged him very hard. I mean, he's not above running down the wicket to the third delivery, but I reckon that had rattled him. That had rung his bell. Thought Cummins did well to survive 25 deliveries. It doesn't sound like too many, but no one else apart from Green has survived 25 deliveries in that innings.
Yeah. Yep.
Kind of tells you. It was a crapshoot. It was unbecoming. I didn't enjoy it, but hey,
West Indies could have appealed for that one down the leg side,
and I'm still at work. God.
West Indies, if West Indies had appealed for that one down the leg side off Cummins, they would have been Australia would have been 7 for 79. They would have been 7 for 99 if Anderson.
I missed that.
Yeah, that was a nick. That was a nick. It was a glove. Okay. Yeah, and I thought Anderson was standing way too deep at short leg. He really should have caught Cummins off the last ball.
That last delivery. Yeah.
So once again, it's just some of those 1%ers. I mean, Anderson should have run Green out when he was on 14. Warrican should have run head out through to the wrong end. There's a raggedness about their cricket, isn't it? That Australia hits the stumps and the West Indies do not. But look, the conditions have evened the contest up, haven't they? I mean, West Indies have had the best of the conditions, and that's brought the two teams closer. And in the end, you want a contest. So I've actually weirdly enjoyed it for a dead test. This seems pretty lively.
It sure does, yeah. But anyway, I suspect there won't be a fourth day, although I think there's some weather about tomorrow. There's weather.
Okay, all right. Well, you might have another opportunity to look around Kingston, Pete. I know how much that will mean to you.
Yeah, that'll be great, yes. What's the weather like tomorrow? Kingston, hang on. What day is tomorrow? Monday, is it?
Monday. Yeah, it's Monday here.
Breaking news. It's going to be hot.
Right.
There you go. Midday, it's hot.
Right.
It's really bloody hot. Then it's just stinking hot and not as stinking hot.
Fearless forecast from Cricket et al.
Yeah.
All right, mate. That's all we've got time for on Cricket et al. Been great to have you with us. Be back here this time tomorrow for an update on day 3. Might be the last day of this pretty interesting series. But,
I'd be surprised if it's this time tomorrow, mate. I think it'll be
earlier. Yeah. Okay. That's all we've got time for. In the meantime, it's goodbye from me.
And it's good night from him.